Good? Tom?
Sorry.
That's all right. We'll wait for you.
Waiting for me. Thank you.
That's all right. Good morning. I ran for Attorney General with a very clear goal: to better protect Kentucky families, because all Kentuckians deserve safety and a path to prosperity. My four-part mission is how we go about improving that safety and ensuring that criminals and con artists do not rob our families of that path to prosperity. Every day, we work on that four-part mission. 1, preventing and prosecuting child abuse. Number 2, better protecting our seniors against scams and abuse. 3, seeking justice for victims of rape and sexual assault. And number 4, finding workable solutions to our drug epidemic. One part of this mission that was certainly needed was better protecting our seniors. When I came into office, the Attorney General's office was focused primarily on protecting seniors who are abused physically. But as I looked around state and local government, no entity, no one was working day in and day out to protect seniors from scams. And the need was so great. In 2015, Consumer Reports estimates over $3 billion were stolen from our seniors in the U.S. in scams alone. And when you expand that to broader elder financial abuse, that number is $37 billion. Every day, our seniors were having their hard-earned retirement stolen out from under them. They were preyed upon criminals looking to take advantage of them. So on day 1 of my term, I created this state's first Office of Senior Protection. And 1 year ago, we launched Scam Alerts, this state's first continuous and comprehensive approach to protect seniors from con artists and criminals that are targeting their life savings. This program, called Scam Alerts, has several parts. First, we created the state's first direct text, direct email scam warning system, where we can communicate the newest and trending scams directly to the people of Kentucky. It is the first time that we have had a tool that can reach people wherever they are at a moment's notice. To date, we've signed up over 9,300 individuals to receive texts or emails about scams that are trending in their area. This number climbs every week. We sent nearly 30 alerts to these 9,300 Kentuckians, warning them of such scams as the fake pharmacy scam, jury duty scam, veteran scam, virtual kidnapping scam, grandparent scam, and several scams dealing with utilities and/or taxes and the IRS. And we've seen results. We estimate that the Sweetheart scam stole over $80,000 from Kentuckians in 2016. So in 2017, we sent out one of these text email warnings right before that scam's normal peak. And I'm proud to report that in 2017, we have received 0 reports of Kentuckians falling for that Sweetheart scam. It shows that the warnings can work when they reach the right people. As we move into year 2, we are going to continue to work day in and day out to get more Kentuckians signed up for this very important service. For the second piece of Scam Alerts, we set off on an ambitious and ongoing education campaign to reach our seniors. We're taking Scam Alerts, scam protection information, and elder abuse education into each county, meeting with seniors and their families, caregivers, and advocates in the community, to equip them with the information they need to protect themselves, their friends, and their neighbors. We've provided this information and resources at over 100 events where we have reached over 6,500 seniors. I've personally presented at 57 of these events, but this is just the beginning. Earlier this year, we announced the Scam Alerts Interfaith Travel Series. By partnering with our faith-based community, we can reach seniors in a place where they feel comfortable and safe, their places of worship. We have currently already presented at 12 houses of worship, and we have over 35 additional presentations scheduled for this year, and they grow every day. We've presented in places like Lexington and Louisville, but also Prestonsburg, Shelbyville, Paducah, Bowling Green, Flemingsburg, and right here in Frankfort. Today, we're going to hear in a minute from the Reverend Robert Drake Sr., senior pastor at the New Covenant Baptist Church in Louisville. We were there for an Interfaith Travel Series Scam Alerts presentation just a little over a week ago. And we're continuing to form partnerships with so many denominations so that we may expand our efforts to reach people. Third part of Scam Alerts. We knew this battle was bigger than us. So we set about recruiting community partners who would dedicate themselves to this cause. And to date, we now have over 160 partners to this effort, and we are stronger together. These partnerships span the state and include a wide variety of organizations. Kroger, AARP, who's with us and will talk today, the Kentucky Bankers Association, the NAACP, the Kentucky Council on Churches, the University of Kentucky Cooperative Extension, the U.S. Postal Service, and many, many others. They're committed to community, and they are committed to better protecting our seniors. Moving forward, we're going to specifically partner to protect groups that may be specifically targeted by criminals. One of our newest partners, the Alzheimer's Association, Greater Kentucky Southern Indiana chapter, is here today, as well as the Bluegrass Council of the Blind. We'll hear from them in just a little bit. And the fourth part of Scam Alerts, our mediation team is working tirelessly to actually return money to seniors who have either been scammed or through a misunderstanding have had dollars that they need to pay groceries and medicine taken from them. Our mediation group has returned nearly $880,000 to Kentuckians who have reached out to our office. We've received nearly 4,800 reports directly from citizens, with over 800 citizens falling victim to a scam. That's an average of $1,609 per day returned to Kentuckians who need that money for groceries, for medicine. For example, our mediation efforts assisted an 80-year-old Central Kentucky senior who fell victim to a high-pressure sales tactic of a home improvement company. She fell prey to an aggressive representative who continued to pressure her into signing a contract before he left that day. She indicated to that representative she needed to talk to her family. She needed to think it through, but he kept pressuring and pressing. And eventually, she signed that contract that day. After a call with our office and a little bit of work, she is out of that contract as we're here today. A Northern Kentucky senior who contacted us with the type of issue that so many Kentuckians face. She had contracted with a home and yard repair company, a local contractor. And what had happened? She had made a large payment up front, which Kentuckians should never, ever do. So what happened? A little bit of work was done on the front end, and then no work was done. And suddenly her calls stopped being answered. When the mediation staff intervened, that Northern Kentucky senior has had over $7,000 returned from that local contractor. Using the Office of Senior Protection has worked for so many seniors. And in one of our best days, we recovered $50,000 for an Elizabethtown senior scammed in the IRS scam. That's a scam where it is incredibly tough to return the money because those calls and scams come from outside the state or outside the country. It represented one of our best outcomes and one that I was so excited about, I drove her the check myself. So it's only been a year. In my summary, I'm proud. I think the results are impressive. But we have so much more work to do. We have so many more seniors that need our help, and there are so many con artists that are out there trying to prey upon them. We promise to keep at it, to keep educating seniors and loved ones, and to work with them to help get restitution and justice when they are conned. We will not quit until all of our seniors are informed and protected, and we will not quit until every community in Kentucky comes together, realizing that protecting our seniors is each and every one of our responsibility, and we are starting to see that happen in communities all across Kentucky. I'd now like to recognize the folks that are up here, and then a couple of them are going to share words. First, we have Jim Kimbrough, advocacy volunteer for AARP Kentucky. We have the Reverend Robert C. Drake Sr., senior pastor, New Covenant Baptist Church in Louisville. Lisa McKinney, Public Coordinator for the Alzheimer's Association, Greater Kentucky, Southern Indiana Chapter, Kathy Jackson, President, National Federation of the Blind of Kentucky, and Teresa Thomas, Executive Director, Bluegrass Council of the Blind, with whom we did a Scam Alerts presentation earlier this year. So I'd first like to ask Jim to come up and offer some words. We appreciate you.
I appreciate you and what you're doing. AARP is really, really proud to be here, as we were a year ago.
Yes.
When this was launched with, as you reminded me a few minutes ago, there were 3 partners. AARP was one of the partners with General Beshear and Kroger's. We had the announcement at Kroger's in Louisville and Lexington. So we are really proud not only to be here a year later, but during this last year, we've done a lot of events together. We've shared resources and materials. This is what it's about. For AARP, and it's 471,000 dues-paying members in Kentucky, 38 million members nationwide, financial security is one of the 2 keystones of what we're about. The other one is healthcare security. So financial security, extremely important. And part of that, in addition to protecting Social Security, as well as here in Kentucky, focusing on making sure public pensions are paid adequately, we look at how people are scammed. People have their savings stolen from them through, as the Attorney General just said, a variety of schemes, some of which sound really plausible. As a grandparent, I'm aware of what the grandparent rip-offs are. Your grandchild's been injured, your grandchild's in jail, your grandchild is somewhere south of the border and needs money to get out of the hospital, the jail, whatever it is they may be in, and they need your money right now. What grandparent doesn't want to do that? So these really prey on our members quite a bit. AARP's data shows that every minute, 365 days a year, $35,000 are scammed or taken by fraud from individuals. It's a staggering amount. This is why AARP has made Fraud Watch one of our key programs in the last few years. I've done a lot of presentations here in Kentucky, again working with the Attorney General's staff, about frauds, scams. There's a huge interest in it. Last month, I was just a couple of blocks away down Capitol Avenue talking to Kentucky public retirees. The person who introduced me, as I told you, said that she got so many phone calls from people who were offering her free trips on cruises, free trips to resorts. All they needed was her credit card number to make administrative charges for it. She started keeping, for the month of March, the 31 days of March, just writing down the number of calls that she got from unknown numbers. This is a woman who is on the do not call list. She had 94 calls from numbers that were totally unknown to her. I think she's typical. Lord knows at our house we get a lot of these also. So that is why AARP is so incredibly proud to be here, to be working with you, with your staff, and doing this, what for us is on a daily basis. We're happy to go to the churches, and I think that's a great initiative. We do a lot of work through AARP with all kinds of faith communities. So whatever we can do for the next year, we're with you on doing it.
Thank you.
So thank you for what you've done for our people.
My name is Reverend Robert Drake from the New Covenant Baptist Church in Louisville, as he previously said. And we are glad to partner with the Attorney General on this cause because most of our members, not most of our members, most of our members are seniors, a senior of age, and they at home, they're retired, and the phone rings. And they go through this, and people call. I even had somebody call me the other day, said I want a free trip. I'm like, wow, I'm glad I talked to him. I'd already heard about this, and I was ready to attack them and let them know I wasn't with that. But I believe we are glad to partner with him because it is a great cause. And I think that people pray, not P-R-A-Y, but P-R-E-Y, on seniors, people who are in low-income areas, because they are, for their desperation cause, they're trying to get this and trying to get that and want more of this and more of that. And I believe they prey on people in the lower income areas. You at my church, you were speaking of people in eastern Kentucky, how they prey on them and how they prey on the ones in like the west end of Louisville where my church sits. And I believe we want to partner with them because I want this to go away. I want this to stop. I want it to cease. And if we can just cut it down more, I believe that will be great. So anything this year the New Covenant can do, I've talked to some more pastors too, and we're going to try to get them involved also. Wonderful. So we're going to, anything that we can do in the faith-based community, please give us a call, stay in touch, and we will try to get it done.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Ms. Jackson.
Good morning. I'm Kathy Jackson, and I'm president of the National Federation of the Blind of Kentucky. And we are pleased to be partnering with the Attorney General through our Newsline project. And just briefly, Newsline is an audio news delivery service, and our goal is to be able to provide on-time, up-to-the-minute information, the news and alerts to not just the blind and visually impaired in Kentucky and across the United States, but those who are print impaired. It could be someone with a physical disability whereby she or he is unable to turn pages, or perhaps someone who has been diagnosed with dyslexia. These scam alerts will fit beautifully into our mission of providing on-time, up-to-date information on our local channel, and we are committed to work with the Attorney General in any way that we can to help stem the tide of these scams and all seniors and any of us in the state of Kentucky who are being taken advantage of. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're happy to take questions first about scam alerts and the initiative, and then I'll let these folks head out, and I'm happy to answer anything else.
Andy, in terms of, every one of these people you may bust as far as doing these things, there's
right.
Probably 5 more coming. So really the education is probably the biggest thing, and I think not only with seniors, but their family members and that, so there's exchange. Education is going to be the only thing that's going to stop. Sure.
That's correct. The most important pieces of this Scam Alerts program is first our ability to directly communicate either through text or email or now the Newsline to folks directly so that they have the information, so that when they get the call they already recognize it as a scam. And once you've received a couple of these, there are a lot of similarities in all these scams. The grand jury scam and the IRS scam are very similar. You've missed something, you haven't paid something, they're going to send someone to arrest you immediately. Once we get people to start recognizing that and stop falling for it, we're going to see fewer and fewer scams. And so we do that in really 3 ways. First, the direct text, direct email, and now Newsline. Second, in the events that we do all over the Commonwealth, reaching those 6,300 people and through the Interfaith Travel Series. And then the third is the community partners. Every time we bring a partner in that then continues this mission and continues to push it out in their community, which is what we see. I think New Covenant Baptist is a great example of participating in one of these programs, but then wanting to do so much more to protect their parishioners. And we see that all across the Commonwealth. So I think that we've made a number of great steps on the education front, but there's no question that if we can prevent you from falling for the scam, we've protected you a lot better than trying to recover the money on the back end.
And there's another part of this, I guess, is too, like my mom, she'll be 80 here next month. She doesn't have a cell phone, doesn't want one,
right.
Going on and on. So What do you do to I guess, to get those people? I mean, and she gets calls too.
Right.
She knows better, but.
It's a couple of things. First, for that direct text, direct email, or newsline scam warnings, it's not just seniors we need to sign up. It's their caregivers, their family, their friends. It's people in the community that work with seniors. It's law enforcement. That concept that we are all our brother and sister's keeper. And once we have the information, we can protect people without even knowing it. You never know when you sit down to lunch or dinner with someone, and they're going to start telling you a story. And if you have this information, you may be the only person standing in between them and the retirement they've earned or losing their life savings. It's truly how we work together as a community.
I know you've gone to churches, but are there other ways that, people are signing up all the time, right? And
yes.
How's the word getting out there besides physically telling people about it?
Well, we do it a number of different ways. We not only go to churches, we go to community centers, the ad districts, the University of Kentucky Extension offices have hosted a number of events, but then our partners also push it out. What you'll see is when we send out one of these alerts, our partners will also send it out, whether it's on their social media, through their bulletins, and in so many other ways. So it's every time we add a partner, it gets the word out more and more. And the media are great partners in fighting scams. There's no question. You always have been. And the willingness when that new scam comes out to give it the coverage so people can hear about it. I think it's one good way that the media and government work together to protect people.
What's the latest big one out there right now?
Well, the one that we're hearing the most recently is the resort scam. You will get a call that says you have qualified for a couple of free nights having stayed in our resort several times in the past year or 2 years. And of course, most people, when you get this, say, I haven't stayed in any resort in the past year or 2 years. But then they make you an offer where you get 2 free nights if you just pay for 1. And the whole thing is a scam, but people see the opportunity. They get excited. These scams work on either fear or excitement. They get us to stop thinking with the front of our brains where we reason and the back of our brains where our emotion is take over. They try to get you into that, you all use the term, hypervigilant state. And that's what they're trying to do there. So that's the most recent scam. But tax season wasn't that long ago, and so we do expect a significant uptake in that IRS scam. And that grandparent scam is still out there. It's the most highly publicized scam that we've ever seen, yet people are still falling for it because we all love our families. You want to talk about how these scams prey on people? That grandparent scam where your grandchild's in danger, and that's the lowest form in many ways of criminal activity, or at least of con artists, and it still works. So it shows that we still have more work to do.
So the resort scam is offering some more stays and taking your credit card?
It's a call that says, thank you for having stayed in our resort a couple of times. You've qualified for a couple of free nights. Of course, you have to purchase other nights to get it, and there is no resort. So they try to get your credit card information. They may try to get personal information. So the 2 things that con artists want to steal, and they'll take either most of the time, are your money and or your personal information. We got to make sure that people don't fall for giving up either.
Prescription scam too.
Yes. We recently sent one out with pharmacies, fake pharmacy scams where the prescription prices seem far too good to be true. And in the Reverend's area, we've seen a lot of fake debt collectors that are calling around, perhaps more regional or even more local. Very pernicious. We need to make sure people are protected from that.
What's the sweetheart scam?
So the sweetheart scam is what some people call catfishing, but has been more direct. It's about people, especially on Facebook or online, trying to build a relationship, especially with folks that might be a little bit lonely or seeking some companionship. Of course, there's never a face-to-face meeting, and right around Valentine's Day especially, when your emotions are heightened, all of a sudden that person online needs money. And again, we saw over $80,000 stolen from Kentuckians in 2016 in that scam. Thus far, we haven't heard of a single Kentuckian that fell in 2017. My hope is, between the media, between scam alerts, between all our partners, that we got the word out there well enough to where nobody did. One of the tough parts in scams, though, is people are ashamed when they fall for it, and they don't want to talk about it. We need to get rid of that concept, because there may well be ways that we can help, especially immediately after a scam. There may be things that we can do. But take the Henderson senior who grabbed me after a Scam Alerts presentation and talked about losing several $100,000 of his life savings, thinking he was helping a child escape from a war-torn country. He was trying to do the right thing, the Christian thing, but he was taken advantage of.
Anybody else?
All right, let's let you guys at least get off stage so that you're not up here when they ask me everything else.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Thank you. All right. Yes, Daniel.
Do you have any thoughts on the appropriateness of Governor Bevin's comments about Tom Loftus, the Career Journal, or the Herald Leader?
I think those types of comments are beneath the office of governor. Those comments suggest criminal activity, which they teach in law school is libel, if not libel per se. I think we all have a duty as public officials to be far more responsible than that. We might not always like what the press writes about us, but the press is a critical part of our country, of the foundation of our country. The freedom of press is in our First Amendment. You know, that's part of our job, is to answer to the press. And I think that if all public officials accepted that, then we'd be in a better place.
Yeah, and just Governor Bevin kind of addressed some of the issues about his house late last week. Did any of his answers kind of lessen your concerns about what was going on there?
You know, this is pretty simple. A governor can't buy a mansion from a state contractor for half off, and he can't create a brand new $250,000 job for his best friend. Those are the types of things that aren't Democrat or Republican. They're just right or wrong. So there is and continues to be a lot of smoke here. There are first denials by the seller and then admissions. Whether it's, I didn't know who was buying the house, and then later I directly negotiated with the governor. This was a legitimate sale, but then we learned that the state, months before, was already putting in security improvements, and it appears the governor was already living there. We have got to get to the bottom of this, because from the outside, it at least looks like a case of personal enrichment by a governor. Someone's got to investigate it, and the facts have to be shown to the public in a very transparent way.
Have you received any word from your inquiry with the Ethics Commission?
I have not. I've heard nothing from the Ethics Commission. Now, I requested an expedited advisory opinion. The only thing I've seen is a report in one of the newspapers saying they're not going to take it up until their next meeting, and that concerns me.
And what would you say to the people who would say that you're seeing a political opportunity to get one on Bevin and are just taking advantage of it?
Well, if that were the case, I wouldn't be exercising what I think is appropriate caution by going to the Ethics Commission and asking them whether this office is the office that should investigate, because under statute, we are charged with investigating political corruption. But a couple of years ago, there were some really broad and somewhat speculative ethics advisory opinions put out there that we need some clarification. First, from the Ethics Commission, and then maybe later from the courts on each of those.
Given those broad opinions that were put out there, I mean, the nature of politics in this state and the nature of this office, how often would that not be a possibility that you might be investigating somebody you might face in a future election?
I've got a job to do, and the statutes that the legislature passed task this office with investigating and prosecuting public corruption. That's why I am so interested in receiving word back from the Ethics Commission, and I am worried that the Ethics Commission itself might not be in a place to look at some of these issues. Specifically, I have some serious concerns that the Ethics Commission's authority has been severely diluted or perhaps co-opted by the governor himself. A couple examples. First, the budget of the Executive Branch Ethics Commission has been cut so severely. Second, that Taft law firm was hired to do what the commission is supposed to do under statute, and the Taft law firm answers to the governor. They have a duty to zealously advocate to him or his appointees. The Ethics Commission works for the people of the Commonwealth and have duties to them and to the law. Third, the governor rescinded that executive order, which provided for different people to appoint members of the Ethics Commission, so the governor didn't appoint all of the members that are supposed to ultimately hold him responsible. And now, I think it was just last week, they announced an anonymous ethics hotline that doesn't go to the Executive Branch Ethics Commission, but goes to political appointees of the governor who review the information and then decide whether to send that out to anybody to investigate. That's highly concerning. That is not an independent organization enforcing the ethics laws.
Just because some of these complaints are similar to stuff that Richard Beliles has said from Common Cause, and I know that the governor tried to draw a connection between you and Common Cause on Friday. Do you have any kind of response to that?
Yeah, the governor's claims are absolutely false. I haven't talked to Common Cause about this whatsoever. And let me say, from a governor who wants to chastise the media for writing rumors, to throw out a wild and entirely false conspiracy theory is pretty irresponsible.
Anybody else? Any comment on the hero leader getting apparently shot at?
Again, the press is critical to the operation of our country and of our Commonwealth. And I have concerns that heightened conflict can create the types of situation where those things happen. The press, like everybody else in Kentucky, deserves to be safe in doing their jobs. And again, we as public officials need to make sure that we don't do anything to create the type of environment where that wouldn't be the case.
Your office isn't involved in that investigation or the printing plant down in London?
We are not.